Hey guys, Mr. Kavanaugh here. Hey, I want to go back over what we were talking about, what we're ending up with in class before we ran out of time when we were talking about federalism, especially Federalism Today. We left off, and I'll post these notes also to the classroom page, but we were looking at dual federalism, also known as layer cake federalism. And in dual federalism or layer cake federalism, as you'll see in the notes, there's a clear separation of power between national and state governments. The key thing to remember, each level of government is sovereign in their own sphere. So the federal government and the state government, and down to local level as well. So hence a layer cake, each sovereign in their own sphere. Look closely at enumerated powers, especially for the federal government. So this is called dual federalism, really going from the 1790s to the 1930s. So dual federalism or layer cake federalism, with each level of government sovereign in their own sphere. I just like saying sphere. And then the next form of federalism I want you to be familiar with is known as cooperative federalism, aka marble cake. Oh man, I want some cake now. Marble cake federalism. So you have them intermingled. This is really going to take place in the 1930s under FDR. I touched on this in class. FDR implementing his New Deal program, trying to claw our way out of the Great Depression. And so, his first 100 days, FDR is just throwing out, through Congress, piece of legislation after piece of legislation, but then it's going to the states. So it's the federal government and the states working together, trying to implement these type of programs, and in this case, these New Deal programs. So cooperative federalism, aka marble cake federalism, the 1930s, specifically look at the New Deal under FDR. So a system of government in which powers and policy assignments are shared between the national level or the federal level and the states. They are shared. So that is cooperative federalism, aka marble cake federalism. They are shared. I gave you an example of this morning of that out of the Indianapolis Star the other day. The headline was, Indiana gets $60.8 million in federal funds to support vaccines for underserved populations. So, wow, COVID relief and the relationship between the federal government and the states and local levels, that is really a great example of cooperative federalism, aka marble cake federalism. What we've been going through with COVID, the vaccines from the federal government to the states to the local level, getting my vaccine at the track. It's a prime example of cooperative or marble cake federalism. It really took hold, remember this for the AP exam, 1930s, FDR, the New Deal, but more contemporary times is the relationship between the federal government, state government, and local levels when it comes to vaccinations for COVID-19, as well as the money that's coming as well. So that is cooperative federalism, aka marble cake federalism. Next is called new federalism, also known as devolution or devolution. Choose your wording, potato. New federalism is a shift in power. This really began, remember this for the AP exam, with Richard Nixon was the big proponent of this. And it was really pushed also under President Reagan and also President Clinton as well. But through the Supreme Court and their rulings, you saw a shift in new federalism from power from the federal level and then shifting that power to the states or a more grassroots level. So we see, under new federalism or devolution, we see a shift of power from the federal level to the states, giving them the money, letting them make more of their own decisions, less interference or less overreach from the federal government at the federal level. And this really took hold under Richard Nixon and evolved from there. It came to a screeching halt, though, with 9/11. Devolution, new federalism, came to a screeching halt with 9/11. Following 9/11, the federal government really sucked a lot of these powers back, which it needed to do as we entered into the war on terror, which was going to be spearheaded by the federal government. So actually, following 9/11, we saw more of going back to a cooperative or marble cake federalism with a little more icing and cake towards the federal level, but working in conjunction with state and local levels regarding the war on terror. So that is dual federalism, aka layer cake federalism, cooperative federalism, aka marble cake federalism, new federalism, also known as devolution. A couple other things also, fiscal federalism. Have this term down called grants in aid. Grants in aid. Really, just to keep it simple, it's money from the federal government being given to the states and local level through a variety of programs. Grants in aid are money programs, money coming down from the feds to the states and the local levels for a variety of reasons. Usually through grants. And there's two types of grants that I want you to remember for the AP exam. The first one is categorical grants. Categorical. This is when money is given to the state's local level, and it has to be used for a specific purpose. Like I just gave an example. The feds are giving the state of Indiana, they're giving them over $60 million, but the money, which technically at the end of the day, it's our money. It's not coming for some, people think the federal government's some crazy entity, some faraway land. Actually, it's us. We are the government. It's our money. But the money's coming down from the federal government to be used for underserved populations regarding vaccines. So that would be an example of a categorical grant, a specific category that the money must be used for, like highways and road work, educational issues. Then you have what are called block grants, and block grants can be used for anything. It's up to the state's local level what they use that money for. So categorical grants and block grants. Categorical grants have strings attached, have to be used for specific purposes. Block grants, whatever the state or local government needs to use that money for. And naturally, you always see this on the AP exam, what do states prefer? Well, block grants, naturally. There are less or no strings attached. So they prefer block grants, no strings. Categorical grants, strings have to be used for a specific purpose or purposes. So that's kind of what we were talking about this morning, just to refresh. Also go back, I put this on your classroom page, some terms over federalism, look at those, complete those will be worth some points. And so get this down into your notes, go back over them and have them in your notes. Get back to me if you have any questions or concerns. Kavanaugh out.